Good day everybody, this is Rakan Shaheen, a dentist and a faculty member at the Riyadh Colleges of Dentistry and Pharmacy, bringing you some general tips on presentations. This video is a capturing of a slideshow made using Microsoft PowerPoint. The art of presenting. This presentation is made up of two main parts, the preparation and the presentation, starting of course with the preparation, which by itself contains three subtopics. Number one is the groundwork. In most cases, when someone is asked to present anything, he or she will experience some fear and hesitation. But in order to start your preparations, you have to stop panicking. And always remember that you have most of the required ideas already in your head. You just need to organize them to make a masterpiece. What do you have to do to accomplish that? Simple. You have to spend a little time reading, then reading, and finally more reading. Read everything you can on the topic you will be presenting, even if you won't include most of what you read in your presentation. You still have to know a lot about the topic in order to be able to answer the audience's questions. After you read some more, now you are ready to start setting up everything. First of all, what are the goals that you want to reach by the end of your presentation? Did you acquire enough knowledge and data to achieve these goals? And finally, are these goals and information compatible with the people that are going to be in attendance? Because you don't want to present simple level information to an advanced level audience or vice versa. Please keep in mind that the average human can stay focused and alert for 30 minutes, up to a maximum of 50 minutes. If you exceed that, you will be staring at an audience of daydreamers. If you've been assigned an extended time slot of 2 hours or more, then simply give a 5 minutes recess whenever you think is suitable. The title of your presentation is a major selling point. An attention-grasping title will increase the attention of the audience from the get-go. Try to take a couple of pointers from the headlines used in the news. Whenever you mention anything scientific in your presentation, make sure to have the reference ready and shown on the slide, which can mainly include the name of the author and the date of publication. For example, if you say women are smarter than men, your author will be woman, and your date will be every day. The second step of preparation is the slideshow. While presenting, you need the audience to keep up with you and receive as much of the given information as possible. That's why you should include a master slide to organize the presented ideas and to allow the audience to stay on track with the presentation. The background of the slideshow is merely a matter of personal preference. Make sure that the background is not more interesting than what's on the foreground. Ladies and gentlemen, size indeed does matter in regard to the text, among other stuff, but mainly the text. You have to use a text size big enough for everyone in the attendance to see. The same goes for choosing the color of the text. Avoid colors that can be indistinguishable from the ones in the background. And if you just want one text to be used in the entire slideshow, then a white fill with a black outline will do the trick. Place the number of the slide at the corner of each slide. So if an attendee wanted to refer you back to a certain slide, he or she can simply just mention the number of the desired slide. Whenever a slide like this one pops up, you are guaranteed to lose the attention of the majority of the audience. So let's just read the first line. Do not exceed the targeted number of 7 lines per slide. Okay, now it became a little more appealing. But the second line says, be aware and do not exceed 7 words per each single line. This might be tricky in some cases, but remember that you don't have to write everything that you are going to say. So, don't exceed 7 lines per slide and don't exceed 7 words per line. And if you're going to have a slide with 7 lines, then make sure that you use the animations feature to have them appear one by one and not all together. We live in a visual media driven world, so use as many visual aids as possible. The choices are usually based on your audience, but the one choice that will appeal to any audience is chicks. Usually, the visual aids are used to explain, describe, or simplify a certain piece of information. If you are going to use an animated clip, then you have to comment and explain while the clip is being played. The transitions from one point to the next should be silky smooth, like going through the alphabets from A to B to C, all the meanwhile covering the topic from A to Z. Don't let the slideshow be the center of attention, because the most important tool is you. So be sure that you are a sharp one. The final step of preparation is the pre-delivery. So now you have built a strong groundwork and created an appealing slideshow. All that is left is a couple more personal and environmental touches. Before presenting in front of an audience, try to rehearse as many times as you need to perfect your presentation. Rehearsing does not mean memorizing. You should avoid memorizing your lines, as you are not going to be reciting, you are going to be presenting. It's true that a book should not be judged by its cover, but never go to a presentation looking like this. Take a page from Barney Stinson's book and suit up. Eat a balanced amount of food before presenting to avoid producing many tummy noises, but don't eat too much. Make sure that you sleep properly the night before the presentation day. Try to arrive an hour at least before your presentation to set up everything. Test the slideshow on the PC you'll be using to present to avoid any unwanted surprises. And if there is a black or white board in the room, make sure that it's blank to avoid having the audience focusing on it during your presentation. Check your laser pointers and make sure they're working. Keep some lights turned on to be able to see the faces of the audience members, and so they'll be able to see you too. And finally, set up the thermostat to a comfortable degree. Now about that, there is a general rule that in comedy shows, the thermostat is set to a lower degree, while in drama or romantic shows, the thermostat is set to a higher degree. You have to choose which one you want your presentation to be. On the day of your presentation, expect that everything that can go wrong will. Not to sound pessimistic or anything, but Murphy's Law can be at full effect at any time. Now for the second main part of this presentation, the presentation. Starting with the body language. During communication, 55% of the information is being transmitted via the body language, 38% via the voice, and finally 7% via the actual words. If you want the audience to focus on these slides, then either stand to the right or to the left of the slide. But if you want them to focus on you, then stand in front of the screen. Don't stand still throughout the entire presentation. Even one of the greatest presenters, the late Steve Jobs, used to utilize the entire stage. Never, under any circumstances, turn your back to the audience. It indicates fear, and it's also disrespectful. Use your feet to prevent your body from turning away from the audience by pointing one foot toward the audience and the other toward the screen. This way you'll prevent yourself from involuntarily turning your back to the audience. Keep your hands where the audience can see them. It will be very difficult to point and gesture using your hips. Almost all politicians use hand gestures, and you should too. As if you gesture with your right hand, you'll stimulate the audience's left side of the brain, which is in charge of analysis and logical thinking, while if you gesture with your left hand, you'll stimulate the right side of the brain, which is in charge of imagination and innovation. For example, a math teacher will use his or her right hand, while an art teacher will use the left one. Try to use a variety of facial expressions throughout your presentation, but never show anger. Where should you look while presenting? This depends on how big your audience is. If you have a small number in the attendance, then try to make eye contact with the ones that are paying the most attention to you, as this will raise your morale and pushes you to perform even better. While if you have a big number of attendees, then try to look at the last rows as much as possible. This will give everyone between you and the last row the illusion that you are looking at them as well. Now we come to speech. The number one fear among the general population is public speaking, while death came at number 7. As Jerry Seinfeld once said, this means to the average person at a funeral, you'd rather be in the casket than doing the eulogy. When presenting, keep your language clean, your sound clear, and your voice steady. Your voice tone can affect the attention level of the audience drastically. At whatever cost, avoid drifting into the zone of monotone. This is your presentation, so get loud and get excited about it. If you use any of these phrases, you'll portray yourself as hesitant and fearful. If you need a couple of seconds to organize your thoughts, then stay silent without making any unnecessary noises. That'll be more than enough. Utilize some pauses during your presentation to give what you just said or what you are about to say some extra emphasis. If you use these pauses perfectly, you'll end up with a magnificent result. But if you don't, the result can be catastrophic. For example, you can say, a woman without her man is nothing. Or you can change the timing of your pauses and say, a woman without her man is nothing. Pretty different, right? And finally, the delivery. Most people recommend starting with a joke, but in reality, telling jokes is a talent that not all of us have. So if you are talented, great. If you're not, oh boy. To be on the safe side, a simple good morning or hello would suffice. Surprise your audience early. Do not wait until the end of the presentation, as by then you'd have lost their attention. Don't read the slides, man. Just don't read the never read the slides. Be sure to go over big ideas twice, and be sure to go over big ideas twice. Try to interact with the audience as much as possible, whether by asking them questions or by any other means of interaction. Sharing your experience, this is a little bit debatable. For example, if you are a teacher or a professor, then your experience means knowledge that is hard to find in textbooks. But if you're a salesman, then people don't want to know your experience as much as they want to know how they will experience the products. So it's an area of yes and no. Do not show off your knowledge. Otherwise, you'll come out as arrogant and you will belittle your audience members. Nothing good can come out of it. If you get interrupted while presenting by an attendee, try to avoid disagreeing or confronting him or her. Simply ask him or her to wait until the end of the presentation to discuss it. Reach your conclusion without taking any unnecessary turns. Try to end your presentation with a bang. However, the intensity of the conclusion or the bang might differ from one person to another. Always allow time for questions. Ideally, 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the presentation would be more than enough. Well, this is it for this presentation, but please remember that a good presentation reaches the hearts because it comes from the heart. And finally, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching.